Alright, I'd like to say shalom, Shabbat shalom. All praises to the Most High, Ahaya. Tonight's lesson, we're going to go into some information on Christmas and show why and how Christmas is pagan. You have a lot going on right around this time of the year. It's a lot of emotions involved in Christmas. And when I say emotions, a lot of people are really stressed out because of bills and getting gifts for the family and friends and going into debt, and at the same time they say, well, I'm happy because it's a time of the year where I can spend time with family. It's the time of the year where I can do different things and, let the kids have fun. Well, when you break down Christmas and you get to the bottom of what's really happening right around this time period, then I don't think you'll be the same person. I don't think you will look at it as the same way as you do it. And you'll actually be happy to get away from that pagan holiday once you find out what it is, because now it's going to save you money. Now it's going to save you stress. But overall, Christmas has become a moneymaker. Businesses, this is when they make 60% of their income. Okay, 60% of their income is made during the Christmas season. All right, and they know you are going to come in there and spend much money, and you're going to go into debt. But then they turn right around within the next month and a half and they give you your income taxes to where you'll pay the debt off. So it's a big system, you guys, to where it's a win-win system for them. All right. And that's what a lot of people do. They say, well, I don't have a problem with using my credit cards right now because I'm about to get my income taxes out to help pay them off. I won't be in debt for too long. All right. And you got to wake up and smell the coffee on how they have you guys trained. All right. To continue to put money into their pockets and continue to take from your mouths and your family mouths. So today we're going to break down a few things on Christmas and where the pagan roots and the pagan origins come from. Let's start off in Isaiah 58:1. All right.
We're in the book of Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins.
So it says, show the house of Jacob their sins. I'll start with them first because Jacob is first. So show Jacob their sins. Show my people. Okay, that's what it says, their transgressions. Alright? And then you show everybody else, but you show Jacob. Jacob is who you really to go to. Go to Jacob, say, hey, y'all got to get away from these pagan days. The pagans are going to follow it. Hey, it's hard to bring them away from their roots. But you guys, this is not your customs. This is not what we were put here to do. Jacob, 12 tribes of Israel. So I'm going to blow the trumpet. I'm going to cry out loud, and I'm not going to spare no feelings. We're going to bring the truth, but this message is for you, Jacob, because the pagans got you following their ways, so they're comfortable. All right? Now, some pagans, some Gentiles, heathens, if you want to hearken to this information, then you do just that. Okay? First Thessalonians 5:21.
We in the book of Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good, abstain from all appearance of evil.
So it says, prove all things and hold fast that which is good. What's good? This Bible. All right? The information that's in the Bible, and the Bible is a guide. Following the laws, the commandments, and all his ways, it's good. Okay? And if you follow it correct, then you won't have to worry about being guided in the wrong directions. But it says prove all things. So the Bible proves what we're supposed to be doing. If you can't prove it from the Bible, then you shouldn't be doing it. Okay? And then it says abstain from all appearance of evil. So anything that looks evil, stay away from it. But so many people I know, they know something's wrong and they still do it. You know, just like a lot of parents, they know Christmas is wrong. They know Halloween is wrong. They know Easter don't have nothing to do with a bunny. But they still do it. Okay? Let's give them this information right here on the origin of the Christmas tree. It's just an article that I had.
Okay. Origin of the Christmas tree. No article about Christmas is complete without some explanation of the Christmas tree. We have touched on it without directly focusing on it. The modern Christmas tree originated in Germany, but the Germans got it from the Romans, who got it from the Babylonians and the Egyptians. The following demonstrates what the Babylonians believed about the origin of the Christmas tree. An old Babylonian fable told on an evergreen tree which sprang out of a dead tree stump. The old tree stump symbolized the dead Nimrod.
So it says that the one old Babylonian fable was a dead tree stump that symbolized Nimrod. But it started off by saying the modern Christmas tree originated in Germany. Okay? And then the Romans got it from the Germans. But the Germans got it from the Romans. But we all know that the Romans took down the Germans, so that easily could have been the other way around. All right? But who got it from Babylonian and the Egyptians? So this is something that's been passed from kingdom to kingdom. The custom of the Christmas tree, but it boils down to Nimrod. It symbolizes Nimrod. Who is Nimrod? Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis 10 and 6, I want to say. 10 and 8. Let's find out who Nimrod is.
We're in the book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 8. And it reads, "And Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth, for he was a mighty hunter before the Most High. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Most High."
So Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Most High. Okay? And he began to become a mighty one on the earth. And that means Nimrod got power and became the high god on the earth to where everybody was following him. Alright? Hold on, I'm going to pick up something real fast just to show you how mighty Nimrod became. We're going to the book of Jasher, chapter 9. Chapter 9 and read we just read right here where I have it highlighted. It's the end of verse 19 going into verse 20, and then I want you to come right here 9 and 7. So read 9 into 19 and 20 and then come to 7 real quick.
Okay. And we're in the book of Jasher. We're in the middle of verse 19 at the end of it, and it says, "And all that generation forgot the Most High, and served other gods of wood and stone, and rebelled all their days."
So it says that all the generations at that time forgot who the Most High was. Okay? And they served other gods, wood and stone, and rebelled all their days. Alright, go ahead.
"And the king Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union."
All right. So it says, and Nimrod reigned securely in the earth at that time, and all the earth was under his control. So that's what it means when it says, when we read in Genesis 10 and 8, it says, and Nimrod began to be a mighty one on the earth. All right. And he had everybody under his power worshiping wood and stone. Read 9 and 7. 9 and 7.
We're in the book of Jasher, chapter 9, verse 7. And it says, and the king and all his servants and Terah with all his household were then the first of those that served gods of wood and stone.
So Terah, even Abraham's dad, his whole household served wood and stone, which was under Nimrod. So everybody was under this, all right? And that's why Abraham is so important, because he's the one that came and broke himself away from that and said, I'm not going to follow that. And then that's when the Most High started the covenant with him, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then the 12 tribes. Okay, and so that's why we started off today in Isaiah saying, go talk to Jacob and tell them about their sins. Okay, but Nimrod, he became a mighty one on the earth. The whole earth was under his custom, and he made people follow the gods of wood and stone. Let's see what the Most High says about wood and stone. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 64. Alright.
And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which thou fathers which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So it says, I'm going to scatter you from one end of the earth. Alright? And when I do that, there you shall serve other gods. Hey, I might as well do this. You're serving other gods right here in your own land. You think I'm just going to continue to let you sit here and disrespect me and serve these other gods in my land? So I might as well scatter you away from here, and you can go serve those other gods there. And by the way, those guys that you're serving, wood and stone, neither I nor your fathers, we don't know them guys. Well, who y'all get this from? So the wood and stone, which is your Christian religion, which is the wood, and the stone is the Kaaba, the Muslim religion, the two biggest religions that you see going right now, are coming from the customs of Nimrod. Ain't nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing changed. Ecclesiastes tells us ain't nothing new under the sun. Was it Ecclesiastes 1 and 9? Tells us there is nothing new. Okay? So the same things that they were doing back in those days are the same things that people are doing today. And that's what we're breaking down. Okay? Go back to that article I was reading. So it says the tree stump, the dead tree stump symbolizes Nimrod. So we're talking about the Christmas tree. And it says that the old Babylonian fable said that the dead tree stump, the old stump, symbolized the dead Nimrod. Let's pick back up right there.
The new evergreen tree symbolized that Nimrod had come to life again in Tammuz.
So the dead tree stump symbolizes Nimrod. But then once the new evergreen tree, which is your Christmas tree, once it grows on that tree stump, now symbolizes that Nimrod had came to life again in the form of Tammuz.
Among the Druids, the oak was sacred. Among the Egyptians, it was the palm. And in Rome, it was the fir, which was decorated with red berries during Saturnalia. So
it tells you that in the Druids, they said the oak was sacred. The Egyptians said, well, this is like a palm tree. And the Romans said, well, this is a fir. So this is why the trees are called different names. You got the fir tree right around Christmas. You got the palm tree. You got different ones that you can get. You got the oak tree. When you go get a Christmas tree, they got different looking trees. All Christmas trees, but they got different ones that might be a little fluffier, one that's skinnier, different trees. And they'll tell you too when you go, well, this is a fir. You know what I'm saying? All right, and then it says that these things were decorated with red berries, so these are your ornaments. But back in the day, they used real red berries to decorate the trees. That made it real fresh and pretty. Okay, but now you use the fake ornaments. But they use real berries during Saturnalia. Okay, that's what it said. We're going to break down Saturnalia in a minute. Saturnalia is basically a time where they go around. It's like a 12-day period where they go around and they put out a purge. And with the purge, they everything goes. Rape, killing, homosexuality, drunkenness, and the kids are even involved. Kids can get involved. All right, and what they do is, this is what where the word Yule. We'll get to the word Yule, but the whole Yule log that's represented with Nimrod, the old stump. All right, the old stump is called a Yule log, and they would get like a huge Yule log, to where the Yule log was so big that they would light it on fire, and the Yule log would stay burnt for the whole 12 days. Okay, and during the 12 days, every day they would make animal sacrifices or human sacrifices each day into the fire. All right, but that Yule log was so big it would burn for the whole 12 days. Okay, and they would do all these different rituals and bring in witchcraft to worship their different gods that were going to be born on December 25th. So they would do this all the way. They would do these customs for the 12 days, and then on the last 7 days, they would really go into the last 7 days from the 17th to the 24th. They'll go into their witchcraft rituals and different things like that, and get ready to worship the birth of all the different gods on December 25th. Because not only was Tammuz reborn, which is Nimrod, on December 25th, once they did that custom with that, then they started doing it in Rome. Rome started bringing in their different gods and doing the same thing. So Rome was like, okay, we're going to follow that same custom. So right around that time of the year, then they was bringing in their different gods. And then the Egyptians, everybody was starting to say, okay, that's what we want to do. So all of them started bringing in their gods and their different rituals on Saturnalia to be born on December 25th. And people were just running around celebrating December 25th as if it's the day of the Messiah, which everybody calls Christ. And the sad part about it is that the pagan god Baal, the sun god, it's all a worship to the sun god. They're all some type of form of the sun god. So the sun god, he is now getting credit for the Messiah on that day. He's getting credit to be the son of the Most High, basically. And he ain't. The Messiah is being left out, and then everybody's worshiping the sun god on December 25th, and putting him in place as the son of the Most High. Because then once you worship that day, when are you worshiping the true Messiah? So now people are worshiping their rituals in their day, and it has erased the true Messiah. Jeremiah 10:1.
We in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. And it reads, Hear ye the word which the Most High speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Most High, Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them.
So he starts off by saying, once again, I'm speaking to you, O Israel. Remember when we was reading Isaiah said the same thing. Go tell Jacob about their transgression, which is Israel. Now he starts this off the same way. Attention, Israel. Don't go learn the way of the heathen. So remember what I said. They have us walking after their customs. The pagans have us doing what they do. So this is why he says right here, don't learn those ways that they're trying to make you do, heathens. Turn and say, no, y'all can't teach me. I see the paganism behind it. Don't learn it. Don't be dismayed. Verse 3.
Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of hands of the workmen, with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speaketh not. They must needs to be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
So it says, for the customs of these heathen are vain. They're bad. They're false. Abomination. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the works of the hands of the workmen, with an axe. So they got an axe. He's showing you exactly how they're doing it. They're not using nothing else but an axe. You know? And they cutting the tree out of the forest. You would think, oh, well, they would using a bulldozer. No, he's using the same axe that you've been taught to cut the tree down with. And bringing it from the forest and taking it home and decking it with silver and gold. And then fastening it down in the little thing with the screws, the nails, so it can't move. So it stands straight up. And it sits there for, what, the couple of weeks that you have it in there. And it can't move. Right? So that it not move. And it says it looks like a palm tree. And it can't speak. And it needs to be born. Alright? Because it cannot go. But it says, be not afraid of them. So why does it say be not afraid of them? In 1652, the Christmas Saturnalia with the purge got so bad in England that they had to outlaw it. Because during the purge, like I said, anything goes. Killing, rape, homosexuality, drunkenness, everything's going on. And so by 1652, it had got so bad, England outlawed it because so much was going on. But then by 1956, so many people wanted it, so they restored it. And then the same thing in 1659 in America. America did the same thing, outlawed this Christmas. By that time it was called Christmas because they had realized that they had stole the identity of the true Messiah and used it for the Son of the Most High. So they started calling it Christmas versus Saturnalia. So in 1659, America, they did the same thing. They banned it for over 200 years. They fought it to keep it around. And then in 1828, it got so bad in New York to where they created a special police force to hit the streets to calm this down. And that's where your whole SWAT team and that type of form of police force came from. It was built for the celebration of Christmas, the Saturnalia. That was for the 12 days. It had got so bad to where they said we gotta get the troops on the streets, keep these dudes calm. Okay, and that's where it comes from. But we just read where it says, don't do this. These are the customs of the heathen, and don't be afraid of them. Because back then, if you wasn't celebrating the Saturnalia, if you wasn't partaking in it, they would kill you. And you would be that sacrifice that they would throw on the Yule log that was burning for the 12 days because you wasn't participating in their pagan ways. And not only would they kill you, but they would cut your head off and use it also on one of the trees. Alright, let's go to the two Babylons. Let's go to chapter 2. Alright, chapter 2, book 2, and the mother and the child, and the original of the child. Alright.
It says, in the Roman mythology, Pluto was regarded as on a level for honor with Jupiter. And in Egypt, we have evidence that Osiris, the seed of the woman, was the Lord of the heaven and King of the hell, or Pluto, and it can be shown by a large induction of particulars that he was none other than the devil himself.
So it says in Roman mythology, Pluto was regarded on the level for honor with Jupiter. So you had Jupiter and Pluto, who was Pluto on the level of honor. But it says that Pluto was no other than the devil himself. Okay? So we're talking about the mother and child and the original of the child. So we're talking about the origin, where all this come from. Go ahead.
Supposed to have been incarnate, who through the first transgression and his connection with the woman, he had brought sin and death into the world, had nevertheless by means of Saturn, brought innumerable benefits to mankind. And as the name Pluto has the very same meaning as Saturn.
So Pluto is the same meaning as Saturn. Okay, so this is how these planets, they got these planets in Roman mythology, they all work in hand. And they got you learning them as kids and calling on these planets and wanting to learn science and all this other thing. What's the same meaning as Pluto and Saturn? Go ahead.
The hidden one.
The hidden one. So the hidden one is the same meaning as Saturn and Pluto share. The hidden one. Go ahead.
So whatever other aspect this name had, as applied to the father of the gods, it is to Satan, the hidden lord of hell. Ultimately, that all came at last to be traced back from the different myths about Saturn. When carefully examined, shows that he was at once the devil, the father of all sin and idolatry, who hid himself under the disguise of the serpent, and Adam, who hid himself among the trees of the garden.
So it tells you that Saturn himself disguised himself as the devil, okay, and hid himself under the tree in the garden. And you have to understand, because it makes sense, because what was Satan? Satan was an angel, okay, which is a star. All right, an angel is a star, and the planets at one point in time were stars. Okay, they were up there with all the other stars at one point until they decided to leave their habitation. Okay, but the angels are stars, and let me show you. Let's go to Revelations 12. Read verse 3.
In the book of Revelations, chapter 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered.
So it says the dragon, his tail drew third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them down to the earth. So the stars are talking about the angels that came down with Satan. The ones that followed Satan when he came down. He drugged them down here with him, the stars. Alright. Go down to verse 9.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil. And Satan was deceived the whole world. He has cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So his angels. So the stars that he dragged down with his tail, they were called angels. Okay? So the angels are your stars that you see in the sky. Alright? So Pluto, Saturn, these guys, they were once angels. They were once stars. But then they got drugged down with Satan to do the dirty work. And Saturn was the actual serpent that was sitting in the garden doing the dirty work for Satan. Okay? Go back to where we was at. You got it? Right here. Start right here.
Okay.
And Adam.
And Adam, who hid himself among the trees of the garden. And Noah, who lay hid for a whole year in the ark. And Nimrod.
There go Nimrod again.
Who was hid in the secrecy of the Babylonian mysteries.
So Nimrod had the secrecy of the Babylonian mysteries. Go ahead.
It was to glorify Nimrod that the whole Chaldean system of iniquity was formed.
So the Chaldean, the system of sin, with the Chaldean system, which was sin, was formed under Nimrod, which is your wood and stone religions and different things like that. Go ahead.
He was also known as Nin, the sun, as his wife of Rhea, who was called Ames,
That's Ceramis.
the mother, applied to her, who was really the primeval goddess, the mother of gods and men. But yet, to make out the full majesty of her character, it was necessary that she should be identified with the primeval goddess. And therefore, although the son she bore in her arms was represented as he was who was born to destroy death, yet she was often represented with the very symbol of who brought death into the world. And so it was also in the different countries where the Babylonian system spread.
So it says that the primeval goddess, therefore, although the son she bore in her arms was represented as he who was born to destroy death. So what does that mean? So we're going to find out what the son has been born. But on Christmas Day is the longest night of the year. Okay? So it's the darkest day of the year. Alright? And we all know dark represents death. The dark side. So through their Roman mythology, it says that the son that was born on that Christmas day was represented to destroy death. He came to destroy death. So that's why through all their witchcraft, all the different kingdoms started worshiping through witchcraft to have their kids right on that day to destroy death. Okay? Don't have nothing to do with the birth of the Messiah. Alright, and we're going to get into that. Let's go to stay in the two Babylons. We're going to read another paragraph. Let's go to chapter 3 now and read in festivals, and then read in part 1 where it says Christmas and Lady Day.
Okay, we're coming out of the two Babylons.
So why everybody find out? So you have to understand. So now, so once these different places, because it tells you right here, it says at the end. So it says once they did that, and then it says, and so was it also in different countries where the Babylonian system spread. So it started spreading. So by the mid 1900s, America had finally taken Christmas on as a day. Okay, and then that's when all the churches started bringing it in and bringing church programs and implementing it into churches to where it was huge. And not only that, then they brought it in through Sunday school, to where in Sunday schools they taught you, this is where you got your teachings on the Messiah, on Jesus. This is where you learned all your information about him on his journey, and what happened was through the rituals of Christmas. but they taught you how to follow their gods and their pagan ways. It has nothing to do with the Messiah. So once again, now through the churches, the credit of his journey and his birth comes through the witchcraft of Saturnalia. And a lot of people has not stopped to realize that you're not even close to worshiping the true Messiah. All right, 2 Babylons. Let them know where you at.
We are in the 2 Babylons, chapter 3, festivals, and we're in the first part of Christmas and Lady Day. And it reads, if Rome be indeed the Babylon of the apocalypse, and the Madonna enshrined in her sanctuaries be the very queen of heaven, for the worshipping of whom the fierce anger of God was provoked against the Jews in the days of Jeremiah.
Okay, so it says that Madonna, all right, it says, and indeed the Babylonian apocalypse and the Madonna enshrined in her sanctuaries be the very queen of heaven. Okay, and it says, so let's break down Madonna. All right, and we all know Madonna in our day and age. You hear the word Madonna, you think of Madonna the singer. All right, she became Madonna the singer for a reason. It's not a coincidence that she became the queen of pop. Okay, she became the queen of pop because, and they gave her the name Madonna because Madonna, the name Madonna is worshipped as the queen of heaven. All right, if you do your homework, Mary is known as the Madonna of Rome. Okay, and they says that they did fierce worshiping through the Madonna. So that's why Madonna, when you look at some of her #1 hits, like A Virgin, okay, ain't that Mary? You know, Papa Don't Preach, Holidays, okay. She had a lot of things that were Material Girl, things that was against the Bible, the customs of them. Read that part again. Read the whole part again.
If Rome be indeed the Babylon of the apocalypse, and the Madonna enshrined in her sanctuaries be the very queen of heaven, for worshipping of whom the fierce anger of God was provoked against the Jews in the days of Jeremiah.
So it says that the Most High hated what they were doing. Okay? And Jeremiah speaks of it. Let's go to Jeremiah 7 and 18. Go ahead.
The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough, to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto the gods, and Salaki, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger?
So the Most High says, hey, do they provoke me to anger? What y'all doing here? All right, it says the children gathered wood. That's your Yule logs. Listen to this. So we're talking about the Yule log. We already talked about the Yule log, which is representing wood. Okay, and it's talking about your Christmas, because you remember the wood, the tree stump represents who? Nimrod. So every time you put that tree stump in your fireplace and burn it, you're representing who? Nimrod. But it says the children gathered wood. All right. And the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough. So they make their cake, to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drinks offerings unto the Most High. He says, do they provoke me to anger? All right, verse 19.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 7, verse 19. Do they provoke me to anger, saith the Most High? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces?
Aren't y'all? Why are y'all so confused? Y'all don't even know what y'all celebrating. Y'all don't even know what you're doing, and y'all provoking me to anger every time y'all celebrate this. And y'all confused because when somebody come up to you and say, "What are you celebrating behind Christmas? Do you know the origin behind Christmas?" Nah, no, I don't. But I do it because of. Well, you're confused then. So now the Most High is angry that you ain't even took the time to find out what it is that you're performing. But he says they make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Let's go to Jeremiah 44:19. 44, we can start in 18. Jeremiah 44:18. So when I was reading in the two Babylons, it says that they were worshiping the Madonna, which was represented as the Queen of Heaven, for the worshiping of the fierce anger of the Most High was provoked against them in those days. Go ahead. So this is the fierce anger we're reading of the Most High. He says, y'all provoked me to anger, making these cakes to the Queen of Heaven, which is the Madonna.
Read the book of Jeremiah, chapter 44, verse 19, and it reads.
We start with 18.
I'm sorry, scoot up to 18, and it says, but since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And when we burnt incense to the Queen of Heaven, and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make the cakes to worship her, and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men?
So it said, didn't we make cakes to worship her? This is why we were making these cakes. We were making cakes to worship the Queen of Heaven. So this is why the Most High was being provoked to anger. And remember that we're going to break down the worshiping of cakes right now in a minute, in about 5 minutes. So we're going to get to that. Get back to the part where we was at. But I just want to show y'all what the Bible said about the worshiping of the Queen of Heaven, which is Madonna, that they were making cakes to. And the Most High said, and right here he said, they told you, did we make cakes to worship her and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men? So we'll break down the making of the cakes and the worship here after we finish this information. All right, right here where it says it
is of the last consequence that the fact should be established beyond all possibility of doubt. For that being one established, everyone who trembles at the word of God must shudder at the very thought of giving such a system.
You should tremble at the word of the Most High at doing such a thing. You're making cakes to the Queen. You should tremble. He already told you, don't y'all provoke me to anger? You should be trembling when you see people do this. Go ahead.
Either individually or nationally.
Even individually. So whether you're doing it in your home alone or are you out doing it on the Christmas day. Nationally means you're doing it on their holiday, or if you're doing it individually for your birthday or something like that. That's the difference. Individually, you're doing the cake making for your birthday. Nationally is when you're doing all the cake and baking and stuff for the holidays. Go ahead.
The least countenance or support. Something has been said already that goes far to prove the identity of the Roman and Babylonian systems.
So it says we got proof to show you the identity of the Roman and Babylonian systems. Go ahead.
But at every step, the evidence becomes still more overwhelming. That which arises from comparing the different festivals is peculiarly so.
So it says, when you started learning about all the evidence of the pagan, Roman, Babylonian systems, it's kind of overwhelming. Right? Let's break down some of their pagan ways. All right, hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's break down some of their pagan ways. Read this last paragraph.
The festivals of Rome are innumerable.
Hold on, let me help you out. Too big?
No. The festivals of Rome are innumerable, but 5 of the most important may be singled out for our elucidation.
For elucidation. So it says The festivals of Rome are innumerable. They have many of them, but 5 of their most important ones need to be singled out for elucidation. The word elucidation means clarification or to clarify. So we got 5 main days that we need to clarify for y'all because these are the main ones that y'all follow. Go ahead.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
Lady Day.
Mother's Day.
Easter.
Easter.
The Nativity of St. John.
The birth of St. John.
And the Feast of Assumption.
And the Feast of Assumption. These 5 days need to be clarified and made clear for you guys because you Christians, these are the 5 main days that y'all have on y'all chart. Go ahead.
Each and all of these can be proved to be Babylonian.
I can prove to you that each and every single one of these days are Babylonian. Hold on. So let's see what the Most High has to say about Babylonian ways. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Let's finish this and then we'll get to, I already have something. Let's just finish this.
Okay. And first, as the festival in honor of the birth of Christ.
So it says we're going to break down the birth of Christ first out of these days, which is called what?
Christmas.
Christmas. So we're going to break this day down first. We got to give clarification, elucidation on this day first. Go ahead.
How comes it that festivals was connected with the December of 25th?
So how come is it that this day, the birth of Christ, is connected with the day of December 25th? How is that? Why is that? Let's break it down.
There is not a word in the scripture about the precise day of his birth or the time of the year when he was born. What is recorded there implies that at what time soever his birthplace took. It could not have been on the 25th of December.
So it says, listen, according to the scriptures, it's impossible, okay, that he was born on December 25th, even though we don't have no precise time or day or year when he was born or that was recorded in the Bible. But it's impossible for it to be done on December 25th. How? Let's show you.
At the time that the angel announced his birth to the shepherds of Bethlehem, they were feeding their flocks by night in the open fields. Now, no doubt the climate of Palestine is not so severe as the climate of this country.
Yeah, so yeah, the climate back that way in the Middle East, it don't get as severe as it do in this country, but
even there, though the heat of the day may be considerably, the cold of the night from December to February is very piercing, and it was not the custom of the shepherds of Judea to watch their flock in open fields later than about the end of October.
So it says that the shepherds of Judah did not watch their flocks in an open field no later than the end of October. So what is that saying? Let's go to Luke 2:8.
We in the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 8. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by the night. And lo, the angel of the Most High came upon them, and the glory of the Most High shone around about them, and they were so afraid.
So it says that the shepherds were abiding in the field and keeping watch over their flock by night, and they were in the open field. So what we just read in the 2 Babylon says it was impossible for the Messiah to be born on December 25th because the shepherds in Judea did not watch their flocks in open fields no later than October. So right here, it's talking about the shepherds being in the open field watching their flocks. So this right here has to be before the end of October. Finish reading it, verse 10.
Luke chapter 2, verse 10. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day, and in the city of David, a Savior, which is Yeshua Christ.
So it says that born unto you this day, not in 2 months, not in 3 months, not in 3 months, you're going to have the Savior born unto you. You know, it says this day. So if the shepherds were still in the open field watching their flock that night when the angel came to them and says, unto this day, a Savior is going to be born to you, then it had to be before the end of October. And we're going to show you. Let's read it. Go back to the 2 Babylons and read that, and then I'm going to give you proof. Go ahead.
There were 2 sorts of cattle with the Jews, and there the cattle of the house that lie in the city, the cattle of the wilderness are they that lie in the pastures. These lie in the pastures, which are the villages, all of the days of the cold and heat, and do not go into the cities until the rains descend.
So it says there are 2 sorts of cattle that the Jews deal with. Okay? And the cattle of the house that lie in the city, and the cattle of the wilderness that are in the pastures. But it says, which are in the villages all the days of the cold and the heat, and do not go out into the cities until the rain descends. So the cattle of the Jews, once the rain starts, they take their cattle in. They don't keep them out in the open field. All right, go ahead. First rain.
We're still in the Babylons, and it says the first rain falls in the month of March, which answers to the latter part of October and the former part of November.
So it says the first rain used to come right around March 7, which is October through November. Go ahead.
From whence it appears that Christ must have been born before the middle of October, since the first rain has not yet come, excuse me. Says the first rain is in autumn, that is in September or October. This would make the time of the removal of the flocks from the field somewhat earlier than I have stated in the text.
So right here it's just saying that the Messiah couldn't have been born before the first rain, because it says that the flock were already brought in. By the time the first rain came in, the flock were brought in. So if the angel in Luke 2:8 went to the shepherds and said the Savior is going to be born unto you this day, it had to be before the first rain. Let's break that down. Let's go to Deuteronomy 11 and 14. Let's break down what it means, the first rain, and how when the angel came to the shepherds, they were out in the flock. So let's break down how, they were out in the wilderness. So let's break down how these guys were out there before the first rain came. Luke 2:8, what we were reading. Now we're in Deuteronomy 11 and 14. Read it.
We in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 14. And it says, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season.
I'm going to explain to you when the rain happens in your land, in its due season. Go ahead.
The first and the latter rain.
So I'm going to tell you when the rain starts and when it ends. Go ahead.
That thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil.
So I'm going to tell you when the rain happens so you can grow your crop. Okay, so your crop can grow. All right. Let's go to first rain.
First rain, and it is Hebrews 31:38. That's H 31:38. And it's Yohe, Yare, and It is spelled Yoreh, and it means sprinkling, hence a sprinkling or autumn showers.
So your first rain is your autumn showers. And autumn usually comes when? Right around fall. Okay? And when is fall? On their pagan calendar, they tell you when fall is. When is fall? Right at the end of September. You usually get fall right at the end of September, no later than the first week of October. But it's very rare that fall on their calendar will show in the first week of October. Usually fall is September 22nd through the 26th, 28th, somewhere in there is when they fall pops. So that's the first rain, autumn showers. So the Messiah had to be born somewhere around there, the end of September, no later than the first week of. That's your gap. Your gap is the end of September, first week of October. Is the gap of when he was born, because this is the first rain. And remember, it says that the shepherds of Judea didn't have their crop out in the open field when it rained. By the time the first rain came, they had them pulled inside. And remember, the angel came to them in Luke 2:8 and told them that a Savior is going to be born unto you this day when they was in the field. All right, break down later rain.
We have later rain, and it is Hebrew 4456. H44 is 56, and is Malkush. Malkush, and it is spelled Malquosh, and it is the spring rain.
So latter rain is your spring rain. All right, so this is right around March, springtime. So you're going to get rain all the way from the end of September all the way to March. This is your rain season. And then once spring come, what? The rain kind of goes away a little and you start getting into summertime. Right? Until monsoon season comes again. And when does monsoon season usually come? Right around end of August, early September is when that monsoon season starts really getting ready to kick in. So you have to understand that the day that they're following on December 25th has nothing to do with the scriptures. Scripture-wise, it says the Messiah was born before the first rain, which is far before December 25th. So that's an elucidation. So when it says, hey, let us make clear, let us give you a elucidation on these days, and the first one was, let's make clear on the birth of who's been born on December 25th. We just gave you the clarification on who's been born on the 25th of December. So because it sure ain't the Messiah, the Savior. All right. Let's go to Exodus 12 and 1.
On the calendar, September 22nd is the first day of official fall. So
is it?
Even on their calendar,
they have it right. But that's what I mean, though. You know. So on the Roman calendar, the first official day for fall is September 22nd, right around there. Yeah. Exodus 12 and 1.
We in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1.
But this is why we don't follow their calendar. All right? Because according to their calendar, the birth of the Messiah was the 25th of December. Instead of them saying September 22nd is the birth somewhere around here of the Messiah, they want to lie and make you worship other things that's going on right around that time. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1. And it reads, And the Most High spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So when the Most High took the children of Israel from under the hands of Pharaoh, and Moses guided them into the wilderness, after the Red Sea was split and they walked through it and it drowned Pharaoh and his men, then the Most High turned to Moses and said, okay, all right, now this shall be the beginning of months to you. When he started talking to Moses and let Moses know that now you guys are going to be on a fixed calendar to follow my laws. Now that I have all y'all in one area to teach y'all who I am and that I'm the one that you follow, that there's only one, now I'm going to put y'all on a fixed calendar to follow my days. Okay? You're going to follow my holy days. That way y'all can worship me. Alright? And he says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of the month. So he gave Moses the Hebrew calendar. And it shall be the first month of the year to you. So right now, starting at this time, Moses, this will be the first month. And what was the first month? Let's break it down. Let's go to Leviticus 23.
We're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 1, and it says, And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the rest. In holy convocation you shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings.
So he says, Moses speaking to the children of Israel. Once again, don't he address so far everything's been, it starts off with the addressing of Israel. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the feast of the Most High. Alright, so my holy days, my feast days, this is what you do. And the first feast day is the Sabbath day, the 7th day of the week, which is the Sabbath. But nobody's worshiping his true Sabbath day because they taught you that the 7th day of the week is Sunday, which is truly the first day. The 7th day of the week is Friday evening to Saturday evening. So now that's been profane, okay? And people don't even realize it. So instead of following his feast days, his Sabbath day, you're following other Sabbath days. Now let's break down his feast days, verse 4.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4. These are the days of the Most High, even holy convocations.
No, verse 4. These are the feasts.
Oh, these are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Hey, I have my own feast days that you're supposed to follow in their seasons, which you're supposed to follow on my calendar. The calendar that I gave Moses in Exodus 12 and 2. So this is the beginning of your months. I have my own feast days that y'all supposed to follow. Verse 5.
Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Most High's Passover.
So he says, my first feast outside of the Sabbath day, my first feast that you're supposed to follow is the Passover, not Easter. Why are you feasting and doing Easter egg hunts on Easter when you're supposed to do it on the Passover? Because they've taught you now in modern day that Easter is in representation of the Passover, right? And it don't have nothing to do with his Passover. Let's go back to Exodus where we just at. Exodus 12. And just read verse 3.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 3.
No, let's go to verse. Let's just go down to verse 6.
Go to 6, all right. We're at 12 and 6 in Exodus. And it says, And ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So when you read this story, it's talking about the Passover. It's talking about the lamb being killed and then putting the blood over the doorpost, and you do it on the 14th day of the first month. Because remember, Moses was given in verse 2 the beginning of months, and he said, this is the first month unto you. And then right under that, he started explaining to him how to do the Passover, and you're to do it on the 14th day of this first month. What's the first month? Let's go to Exodus 13 and 4. Go ahead.
In the book of Exodus, chapter 13, verse 4, and it says, "This day came ye out in the month of Abib."
So Abib. So all this stuff that y'all just did in Exodus 12, y'all did it in the month of Abib, which is the first month, which is March on the Roman calendar. But Abib is also Nisan. So Nisan or Abib is the first month on the Hebrew calendar. All right, which is March on their calendar. So that's why you do the Most High's Passover at the end of March, because it says on the 14th day of the month, and usually our calendar starts mid-March, and 14 days from mid-March is March 28th is when we get the Passover. All right, but they teach you that it's Easter, and that's why right around April 1st you get what? April Fools, because you just been fooled that everything you've done right now has been a lie, all the way down to January 1st being the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year was just 2 weeks ago, you fools. Okay, let's go back to the two Babylons. We're in the two Babylons in the same area. Just go down 2 paragraphs from where we were just at.
And it reads, "How then did the Romish church fix on December 25th as Christmas Day?"
So that's a question. It says, so how then did the Romish church decide that December 25th will be Christmas Day? How did they do this? Go ahead.
Why? Thus, long before the 4th century and long before the Christian era itself.
So all this happened long before the Christian era. And y'all calling yourselves Christians? So that lets you know all of it's pagan, even the religion. Go ahead.
A feast was celebrated among the heathen at the precise time of the year in honor of the birth of the son of the Babylonian queen of heaven.
So it tells you right here that the festival which was celebrated among the heathen, precise time of the year, so it was precise. They were precise on making this day the birth of the queen of the heaven. Why? Because they were doing all their rituals and everything, so they made this day precise day to honor the birth of the queen of heaven. Go ahead.
And it may fairly be presumed that in order to consolate the heathen and to swell the number of the numeral adherents of Christianity, the same festival was adopted by the Roman Church.
So the Roman Church adopted this pagan Christianity to grow their Christian church. This is how you say, okay, we just bring in this pagan day to make people happy and to grow the church. Go ahead. So once the Roman Church adopted it, what did they do?
Giving it only the name Christ.
So once the Roman Church adopted this pagan day, they gave it only the name of Christ. That's why it became Christmas. So that's why when you look at it and be like, well, Christmas is tied to Christ. So growing up as a kid, you automatically get trained that Christmas goes together. Because the Roman Church, that's how they duped you. That's how they duped you to say, it says that the heathen, to swell the number of normal adherent of Christianity, so they needed to bring in the numbers. So they adopted it, the Roman Church adopted it and named it Christmas to tie it to the religion that they were following. Go ahead.
This tendency on the part of Christians to meet paganism halfway was very early developed.
So it says, so they did this to meet paganism halfway. So let's enjoin the Christian religion with paganism. Go ahead.
And we find Tertullian, even in his day, about the year 230, bitterly lamenting the inconsistency of the disciples of Christ in this respect, and castrating it with the strict fidelity of the pagans to their own superstition.
So it says this day came strictly the pagan ways of superstition. Don't have nothing to do with the disciples of Christ. Don't have nothing to do with what the disciples of Christ were following after the death of the Messiah, and what the disciples preached and walked. This has nothing to do with them. It's all under the superstitions of the pagans. Go ahead.
By us say he who are strangers to the Sabbath and new moons and festivals.
So let's stop right there. So it says, so these pagans that was going by their own superstitions, they were strangers to the Sabbaths and new moons and the festivals, once acceptable to the Most High. That's what it just said right there. Let's see what it means right there. Let's go to Isaiah 1 and 13. Let's see what it means when it says they were strangers to the Sabbath and the new moons and the festivals of the Most High. Because they was not following the ways of the Most High. Okay, that's why the Most High says when they were baking the cakes to the Queen of Heaven, that he got upset with that. Isaiah 1 and 13.
We're in the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 13. It says, bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbath, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is an iniquity, even the solemn meeting.
So it says, bring no more vain oblations. Incense is abomination unto me. The new moons and the Sabbath and the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. So he says, I can't deal with what y'all doing. Y'all doing new moons mean new calendars. New moon means a new month. So y'all calendar that y'all come up with, this Roman calendar, don't have nothing to do with the calendar that I gave Moses in Exodus 12. I can't away with it. Your Sabbath days that you now have people following on Sundays and not Friday evening to Saturday evening, I can't away with. And the calling of your assemblies, your church gatherings, I can't away with. Verse 14.
Verse 14. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hated.
He says your new moons, so your new calendars, and your appointed feasts that are on those calendars, your holidays, my soul hated. That's what the appointed feasts are. The appointed feasts are feasts that people look forward to. Thanksgiving, man, we're going to grub. Christmas, man, after the gifts, man, we're going to grub all that food. Easter. You know? Memorial Day. Barbecue. 4th of July. Appointed feasts. So the appointed feasts, your holidays that are on these new calendars, these new moons, he says, my soul hated. Read the verse of that. Read the rest of that.
They are in trouble to me.
They are a trouble unto me.
I am weary to bear them.
Verse 15.
And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. When ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood.
The Most High says your hands are full of blood. When y'all spread forth your hands to pray over those feasts, I'm going to hide my eyes from you because your hands are full of blood. All right, go back to where we was at, into Babylon. Do you remember? Oh, right here we go. Just read by us says who are the strangers. By us.
By us, says he, who are strangers to the Sabbath and your new moons and festivals, once acceptable to God. The Saturnalia, the feast of January, the Barmilia, and Matronalia are now frequented. Gifts are carried to and fro. New Year's presents are made with din.
So it tells you right here that they don't follow the Most High's Sabbath day and new moons or festivals. It says they now follow their feast days, which brings gifts, which are carried to and fro. Gifts that are carried to and fro from house to house. So this is where your gift giving comes from. All right, go ahead. How much more?
How much more faithful are the heathens to their religion, who take special care to adopt no solemnity from the Christians. Upright men strive to stem the tide, but in spite of all their efforts, the hypocrisy went on till the church, with the exception of a small remnant, was submerged under pagan superstition.
So it says everybody was submerged under pagan superstition except for a small remnant. Only a small remnant stuck to what they were supposed to be doing. But everybody else was submerged through the Christian religion under pagan superstition. Go ahead.
The Christmas was originally a pagan festival. Is beyond all doubt. The time of the year and the ceremonies with which it is celebrated prove its origin. In Egypt, the son of Isis, the Egypt title for the Queen of Heaven.
So the Queen of Heaven has many titles. In Egypt, in the time of Egypt's reign, she was called Isis. So each kingdom that was in charge at that time, she was called a different name. So remember earlier I said all the different kingdoms, they had their God was born on that December 25th. Why? Because each kingdom had the Queen of Heaven as their forefront, but she was just named a different goddess. So in the Egypt period, she was named Isis, the Queen of Heaven. Go ahead. Read that part again. In Egypt.
In Egypt, the son of Isis, the Egyptian title for the Queen of Heaven, was born at this time, about the time of the winter solstice, the very name by which Christmas is popular known among ourselves. Yule Day proves at once its beginning and pagan origin.
So it tells you Christmas is called Yule Day. That's where your Yule log comes from. That's what we was talking about earlier, the log. The log is representation of Yule. Okay? And it says it's proved once to be a pagan Babylonian origin. Go ahead.
Yule is the Chaldean name for infant.
So the word Yule means infant. So that's why the baby is born on this day. That's why it's called Yule Day. That's why you get the Yule log. All right, the stump. You remember the tree stump represents dead Nimrod. But then once the evergreen grows on the log, which makes the Christmas tree, it's the birth. You see how they do it? So Yule is in Chaldee the name for infant or little child. Go ahead.
And as the 25th of December was called by our pagan Anglo-Saxon ancestors Yule Day, or the Child's Day, and the night that preceded it, Mother Night.
That's why, so you got Christmas Eve, and then you got Christmas. So Christmas Day is called Yule Day, and then Christmas Eve is Mother Night. That's her night that she's preparing for the birth. So Christmas Eve, when you're doing all that stuff on Christmas Eve, and you're getting ready and prepping your last minute preps, and you know and everything, and it's the same way for the mother getting ready to have the baby. She knows she's having a baby tomorrow, so let me get prepped, let me get everything ready. I gotta get, you know. So they taught you to do the same thing.
Get the house decorated.
Get everything, the last things in order. They taught you to be the same way. All right, go ahead. Long before they came in contact with Christianity, that sufficiently provides its real character. Proves its real character. So it says that all these origins were long going way before Christianity even started. All right, read that last part. From you.
From ill, an infant in Scotland, at last in the lowlands. The Yule cakes are also called Nur cakes.
So the Yule cakes are also called Nur cakes. So remember when we was reading in Jeremiah 44 and he says, y'all making cakes to the Queen of Heaven? And then they said, hey, you know where we made cakes to worship the Queen? You remember we read that part? So they were making cakes to worship the Queen. So during these holidays and you making all these different cakes, and even on birthdays, when you're making cakes, you're worshiping this same ritual. Because that's why the Yule represents little child or infant. So every time you make a birth cake in representation of somebody's birthday, it's the same thing. Read that part again.
From ill, an infant in Scotland, at least in the lowlands, the Yule cakes are also called Nur cakes. Now in Chaldean, Nur signifies birth.
Birth cakes. So y'all making people birth cakes for their birth cakes. It signifies the same thing. Go ahead.
Therefore, Nur cakes are birth cakes. The Scandinavian goddesses called Norse, who appointed children for their destinies at their birth, evidently derived their name from the cognate Chaldean word Nor, or child.
So along with the pagan ways of Christmas, they brought in with the Yule, which was Yule means infant, called Yule cakes or Nor cakes. And the Nor cakes, the birth cakes that were being made, was in representation of the Scandinavian goddess, which is still representing the Queen of Heaven. The Queen of Heaven that we was reading of in Jeremiah 44, talking about the cakes. So anytime you're out there making birth cakes in representation for somebody's birthday, you're doing the whole Yule thing. The Yule Day, which is in representation of the Queen of Heaven. And the Most High says he has a problem with that. Alright, let's get to the end of this. We got about 20 minutes left. Let's break down Santa Claus. I got this little article. Read this little article about Santa Claus.
Okay. And it says, parents reason that they owe the whole Christmas myth to their children. Christmas traditions are focused primarily on kids.
So a lot of parents say, well, you know, I know the paganism behind Christmas, but I do it for the kids. And the government knows that. So that's why all the holidays are based off of kids. Because they know once you get older, you start seeing the truth behind it and you'll get away from it. But they base it around the kids, to where the kids go to school. If you don't participate in it, your kids are the only ones left out. So now you feel obligated to do it. And if you don't have the true spirit and you weak, and you live in the flesh, then you're going to be converted just like everybody else. Go ahead.
And they that are certainly the centermost of what happens. I know because I keep 17 Christmases.
So this guy that did this article says he know that kids are the primary focus on Christmas, because when he was a kid, he focused on, he did 17 Christmases. Go ahead.
My older sister and younger brother and I were the recipients of much of the givers of very little on that day. And it all started with the Santa Claus lie. Some years ago, a priest from New Jersey told his Sunday school class that Santa was a myth. The outrage from the parents and his supervisors was swift. He had killed Santa.
So it says this priest decided to go to Sunday school. You remember I was teaching earlier that in Sunday school they teaching that Santa Claus is this and this is the birth of Jesus and this is how people are learning the true journey of the Messiah. But one priest decided to tell the truth. One priest decided to say, hey, Santa Claus is a myth and this ain't the true day of him. And the parents had outrage and his supervisor was swift. What they mean when they say his supervisor was swift, they were swift to move in and give him repercussion. Is that they said it was like as if he had killed Santa. Verse, keep going.
He had usurped family authority. The article continued. he was officially censored by his superiors for being overzealous and insensitive.
So he was censored. Alright? Censored mean he was like, they came in and they watched him and they had to mold him into doing what they needed him to do because he was insensitive about Santa. All he did was told the truth. Read the rest of it.
So his crime. What is his crime? He told the truth. According to Langer's Encyclopedia of World History, in the article of Santa, it says Santa was a common name for Nimrod throughout Asia Minor.
So they tell you right here that Santa was a common name for Nimrod. We already broke down Nimrod. Go ahead.
This was also the same fire god who came down the chimney of the ancient pagans, and the same fire god to whom infants were burned and eaten in human sacrifice among those who were once God's people.
So you remember when I told you on a 12-day sacrifice, a 12-day Saturnalia, how they burn, they get a real big old Yule log and they burn it and it lasted for the 12 days. That's why he's called the fire god. That's why the fire was lasting for the 12 days, because it was representing the fire god. Okay? And you remember I told you each day they represented a sacrifice, either an animal or a human in the fire. Read the next part.
Today, Santa Claus comes from Saint Nicholas. Washington Irving in 1809 is responsible for remaking the original name, the original old Stern Bishop from this same name into the new Jolly Saint Nick. In his Knickerbocker History of New York, Old Nick has long been recognized as the term for the devil.
So it says Santa Claus, which is Saint Nicholas, all right, a bishop in New York, changed his name to Jolly Saint Nick. All right, but Santa Claus is pagan. It is the devil. All right, it says Old Saint Nick is recognized as a term for the devil. That's why you can take the name Santa and use it for Satan. Santa is S-A-N-T-A, right? And then spell Satan. Same letters. You don't even got to take no letters off. S-A-T-A-N. Satan. So Satan, Santa, that's just too close to home. And let me show you how what the Most High thinks about Saint Nicholas. Revelations 2 and 6.
We in the book of Revelations, chapter 2, verse 6. But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate.
Okay, give them the breakdown of Nicolaitans.
We have G 3531. G 3531, that's Greek 3531. And it's Nicolaitans.
Nicolaites.
Nicolaites.
Nicolaites, yeah.
Nicolaites, and it's spelled Nikolaites, and it means Nicolite. Nicholas.
So Nicolaitans means Nicholas. And verse 6 says, but this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans. Alright, and the Nicolaitans means Nicholas. So anybody that followed Saint Nicholas, anybody that follows Saint Nicholas, the Nicolaitans, the Most High says, I hate this. Verse 7.
Verse 7. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
So if you are smart enough and you got an ear to hear what I'm trying to say, let him have an ear to hear what these spirits are saying to these churches. So now that these Christian churches are now allowing Nicolaitans to be in these churches, he that had an ear, let him hear what's being said in these churches. Go ahead.
To whom that overcometh, to him that overcometh, will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of the Most High.
Hey, so if you can overcome the spirits that are in these churches, the spirits that are in these churches are teaching people that they can follow the holidays and that they can follow Saint Nicholas and that they can teach the kids to do Christmas gifts and they can teach the parents to get the kids ready for Santa Claus. So anybody that can overcome what these spirits are doing to y'all in these churches, him I'll give the tree of life to. That's simple. Verse 8.
And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna. Right. These things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works and thy tribulations, and thy poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
So these people, these Jews, these Jewish people that are running the world today, the Most High says, I know the blasphemy of them that say they are Jews, but are not. These are the synagogues of Satan. So these people that are allowing this to happen, that started these traditions, y'all are blasphemy. And it says, and I know the works and tribulations and thy poverty, but thou art rich. He's talking to the true people. I know y'all doing bad right now, but in spirit y'all rich. But those people that say they are the true Jews are liars. They're working for Satan. They're doing all the works out of their synagogues. And what are the synagogues? These modern day churches that you see. These modern day churches that are allowing the Nicolaitans to do their work. The spirit of the Nicolaitans, which is Saint Nicholas. Let's break down the exchanging of gifts. Read the article that I have on exchanging of gifts.
The question about exchanging gifts. Merchants regularly report that over 60% of their annual retail sales occur during Christmas shopping season. This represents a tremendous amount of gift buying. Most today believe that gift giving comes from the Bible example of the three wise men presenting gifts to Christ. Is this true? Where did exchanging gifts come from, and what does God's word say about it?
So it says, where do this exchanging gift thing come from? It don't have nothing to do with the Most High, but I can tell you that 60% of the merchants say this is where we make most of our money annually. Our annual income, 60% of it comes from Christmas shopping. Read that next part.
Where did exchanging gifts come from? And what does God's word say about it? Okay, it says the Bibliotheca Sakara states that the interchange of presents between friends is a like characteristics of Christmas and the Saturnalia, and must have been adopted by Christians from the pagans as a domination of the Tetrallium plainly shows.
So we read on the Tetrallium earlier, okay, in the two Babylon. Let's see what the Bible says about the giving of gifts. Let's go to Exodus 23:7. So the exchanging of gifts is a pagan thing. It don't have nothing to do with the Most High, with these people going from door to door and giving gifts. Alright? Go ahead.
Keep thee far, we're in the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 7, and it says, keep thee far from a false matter.
Alright, what I'm about to read to you is a false matter. Go ahead.
And the innocent and righteous slay thou not. For I will not justify the wicked.
I'm not going to justify this just because y'all try to make this seem like this is innocent. You know what I'm saying? Y'all try to make it seem like the gift, this what I'm about to tell you is an innocent thing. Kid friendly. I will not justify you guys for this false matter. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise, and perverteth the words of the righteous.
Thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise, and perverted the words of the righteousness. So when you're taking these gifts, it's blinding you from what the wise statement says about giving gifts. People take gifts for all kind of reasons, okay? And then people give gifts for all the wrong reasons. You got people that give you a gift to con you or to get you to do something. So gift giving, if it ain't for the reason on what the Most High tells you to give a gift for, then you shouldn't be doing it. Now, of course, if you got a husband or a wife or a kid and they did good on something, then you give them the gift for earning or doing something right. But even parents con their kids with gifts. Well, if you clean your room all week long, then I'll give you a gift this weekend. So the gift giving has become very cunning. Esther 9:21. But let's see what the Bible says about giving gifts. All right, so we just broke down that part about giving gifts being a false matter, but we did have a time where we did give gifts in the Bible. Esther 9:21.
We in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 21. And it reads, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly.
So there goes another day. The month of Adar is on that calendar that he gave Moses in Exodus 12. And the month of Adar is February on their calendar. So it says to establish among them, so establish this day, that they should keep on the 14th day of the month of Adar, which is like at the end of Adar, which is at the end of February, and the 15th day. Do this yearly, not just this time in Esther, yearly. Verse 22.
Verse 22. And as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies.
So they're doing this because they were resting from their enemies, the Jews. Go ahead.
And the month which turned unto them from sorrow to joy.
So this month was turned from sorrow to joy. So this is our joy. This is our joy month. Go ahead.
And from mourning into a good day.
From mourning, so from crying into a good day.
That they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
So he says in the month of Adar, on the 14th day and the 15th day, yearly, this is the day that the Jews make a feasting and joy and give portions one to another and gifts to the poor. This is our time. And what is it called? Go down to verse 26.
Esther verse 26, 9 and 26, and it says, wherefore they call these days Purim, after the name Pur.
So this day is called Purim, not Christmas. According to the Bible, our gift-giving day is called Purim, which is in the month of Adar, which is at the end of February on the 14th day and the 15th day. So we showed you in the Bible in Jeremiah 10 where it says, don't work the way of the heathen, which is cutting a Yule log out of the forest and taking it and decorating it silver and gold. And that's what everybody's worshiping on December 25th, which is the representation of Saturnalia. And the Baal god, which is Nimrod, is then reincarnated into Tammuz, worshiping the Queen of Heaven. But when you read Esther, so many people are like, well, where you find that at? I found it in the King James Bible. What you mean? This is our day, but you follow the Roman calendar. So since you follow the Roman calendar, every day you get up, you look at the Roman calendar and X out another day going by. And then when their holidays come up, that's what you just custom into, the tradition. But if you got accustomed to the Most High's calendar, the one he gave Moses in Exodus 12, and then you put the holy days on there, now you can get accustomed to his traditions. Alright? And let me show you what the Most High has to say about traditions. Let's go to Colossians 2 and 8. So now that you're adapted to their calendar, and you follow their calendar, and every time they holy days come up in their traditions, you're rooted right into it. That's why you got to get away from the Roman calendar. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Colossians, chapter 2, verse 8. And it says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ Yeshua.
So it says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. Vain deceit is lies. Philosophy is all this psychology and this smart talking that they do. They come and they come with these degrees and trick you into following these traditions. Why? Because all these traditions you follow is ruining the world, because it's not after the Bible, which is the Messiah, which is Christ. None of this stuff has to do with him. So since it has nothing to do with him that you're following, is ruining the world. It's ruining the world because 90% of you guys are going to the wrong place. Y'all going to destruction. You're going to destruction for following this. So the world has been ruined. This is why the Messiah has to come back, because y'all have ruined the world with these traditions. Deuteronomy 18 and 9. Got 10 minutes. 10 minutes to get through these last few precepts. Go ahead.
We in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 9. And it reads, when thou art come into the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations.
So once I give you the land, Israel, I don't want you to learn to do the abominations that these nations do. Go ahead.
There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer.
Necromancer. So he says, when you go into these other lands, I don't want you to make your son or daughter go through these rituals. That's what it means, pass through the fire, and uses divination. And it talks about observer, enchanters, witches. I don't want you to have your kids be a part of this stuff. And when you've been a part of these holidays, all these holidays, I told you I did a lesson on holiday versus holy days. All these holidays are based off of rituals that are being done yearly to promote their gods. And to bring in, like Halloween, to bring in the living of the dead. You're promoting familiar spirits. Alright? Same with Christmas. Christmas, you're bringing in the familiar spirits, the wizards and the necromancers, the magic. Alright? That's why Christmas is somewhat based off of magic, with Santa Claus and the reindeers and all that. It's magic. Yeah, right. It's magic. 300-pound man coming in and out of a chimney. And how did he even come in your house and you don't even got a chimney? You see that?
You leaving cookies out.
Leaving them cookies. How is Santa even coming in your house and you don't even got the chimney? They told you he only come through chimneys, and you don't even got the chimney, but yet y'all still putting cookies out. Is he magic or something? So that's what I'm saying. Don't have your kids go through this, dealing with this necromancer stuff, these charmers. But look at the TV shows. Nowadays, when you look at the TV shows, the #1 Disney movie of all time, what's it called? Let It Snow. That just came out this past summer. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? The two sisters and the little snowman. Let It Snow. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there it is.
But the #1, and she was a necromancer. She was, she had all these different magic powers and stuff. But said, don't let your kids be a part of this. And everything that's on TV nowadays is dealing with some type of Wicca witchcraft, some spirit or something like that. Read verse 12.
We're in book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 12, and it says, for all that do these things are an abomination unto the Most High. And because of these abominations, Ahia do it drive them out from before thee.
So it says, since y'all doing all these abominations, I will drive you out before me. So that's why when we read in Deuteronomy 28 and 64, he says, I'm going to scatter you into a land to where you're going to worship gods of wood and stone. I might as well put you in another land, because I'm not going to let you sit in my land and do this. Verse 9 says, don't come into the land that I give you and learn these abominations. But once you do, now I'm going to drive you out and put you in the other land so you can do it. All right? So people say, well, why would he put us in another land anyway? Because you worship. You're doing all of this. Verse 13.
Verse 13. And it says, thou shalt be perfect with Ahiah Ashar Ahiah.
Follow his laws. If you want to be perfect, people say, how can you be perfect? You've been taught that you cannot be perfect. You can be perfect. All right? He says, thou shalt be perfect with the Most High. How do we be perfect? Let's go to Genesis 17. Maybe 22. Okay, pass. Genesis 21. It's got to be 22. Let's go to 22. You got it? Hold on. Sorry, you guys. I just want y'all to see you can be perfect. I just had a brain for that. Grab my sword. Maybe 17. Yeah, I said 17, didn't I? 17 and 1. I don't know why I just didn't go with my first gut.
We in the book of Genesis chapter 17, and it reads, and when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Most High appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am Almighty Ahiah. Walk before me and be thou perfect.
So the Most High said, come here, Abram. Come before me and be perfect so you can be perfect. And how was Abram perfect in the Most High's eyes? He was following the laws and the commandments. And he feared the Most High. He feared the Most High. And since he feared the Most High, once you fear the Most High, you automatically follow his laws and commandments. That's why you fear him. That's just like the law. If you fear the police and law, you're going to follow the law. But if you fear the Most High, you follow his laws and commandments, and that's what makes you perfect. Go back to Deuteronomy 18 and 14.
We're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 14. And it says, for these nations which thou possess hearkened unto observers of times, and unto diviners. But for thee, the Most High thy power hath not suffered thee to do so.
The Most High didn't tell you to do these things. Why are y'all doing it? He ain't going to have no mercy on you. Anybody that's following these traditions and these holidays, he is not going to have no mercy on you. I don't care who you is and what you say about your heart and what's your reason on following. He sees no good in it. Alright, Ezekiel 44 and 3, and you have to understand, so many people, they got their reasons why they do it. He don't care about that excuse. It's pagan. And they have witches and charmers and necromancers and everybody involved in these days. He don't want to have nothing to do with it, y'all. It's just all bad, man. You guys got to get your head out of wherever it's at. If it ain't in you, you know what? It's in somebody's, you know what? Because y'all doing this completely backwards, man. And it's simple. We started off by saying prove all things. In Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, if you can't prove it from the Bible, why are you doing it? And then that's when you got to ask yourself a simple question. Do I believe in the Bible? What am I following then? Because so many people got the Bible in their hand talking about they believe in it and they follow it, but then they really don't. Because then when somebody like, I show you what the Bible says about Christmas, and then when I show you what it says, it shows you when we celebrate our gift giving, and then I show you what it says about their day that they give gifts. That's sad. I can show you about the December 25th Christmas tree, what the Bible says, how bad it is, and then turn around and show you the day that we're supposed to give gifts, and 9 out of 10 people still won't change after watching this. Following Satan. Ezekiel 44 and 23.
We're in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 44, verse 23. And it reads, and they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean.
So it says, teach my people between these days, the most high's holy days, and then the profane days, which are the holidays. Teach my people the difference between these. That way they'll know how to choose. They'll know how to walk, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean. So people, that's what I'm doing today. I'm coming to teach you the difference between what's right and what's wrong when it comes to the holidays. All right, let's go to 1 Corinthians 10 and 21. So now that you know there's two sides, there's holy and there's profane, let's break down the holy and the profane.
We in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 21.
20. Sorry about that. Yeah, 20.
And it says, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to the Most High. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils.
The Most High says, I don't want you fellowshipping with devils. And when you follow these traditions and these holidays, you're fellowshipping with those devils that created these days through their rituals. Because on these days, they're doing their witchcraft and their nucrements and stuff to bring in the familiar spirits, to bring their familiar spirits back. And then with you worshiping on that same day, you're fellowshipping with those same spirits. Hey! You don't even know it. So you're worshiping Saturnalia the moment you pop open that eggnog. The moment you throw that Yule log in the fireplace. You got to get it together. And the Most High says, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice. So just because you're not out there doing the actual rituals and sacrificing on these holidays doesn't mean you're not part of it. The Gentiles are already done the hard work. They've already put the work and the sacrifices in. And guess what? They still do it this every year, still to this day. So like Christmas, this past Christmas, on the Saturnalia, those 7 days, they were somewhere in England, even here in the United States, doing all of these pagan things that we talked about tonight. Bring it in the familiar spirits. And while they're bringing them in, you're fellowshipping with them by doing all the participating. And the Most High says, the devils, the Gentiles are sacrificing this stuff to the devils and not to him. Verse 21.
Verse 21. Ye cannot drink of the cup of the Most High and the cup of the devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Most High's table and of the table of devils.
Can't do both. You have to make a decision.
Do we?
So that's why in Ezekiel 44 and 23 it says we got to talk the difference between these two. You can't do both. You have to make a choice. So you can't say, all right, well, you know what? I still do the holidays. I know they're wrong, but I follow the Most High. No, you don't. No, you don't. Stop lying. He said you can't do both. That's like a professor. Well, I got my bachelor's, I got my master's, man, I'm smart, but then you try to come be a teacher of the Most High. No. If you want to be a teacher of the Most High, you got to get rid of that philosophy nonsense. You can't have both. All right, last precept tonight, Romans 13 through 11.
We're in the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 11. And it reads, and that, knowing the time, that now is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we believe.
So it says now is the time that you might want to wake up. Y'all all been asleep your whole life. Okay? So now it's time for you to wake up and realize what you've been doing is wrong and that salvation is nearer than you believe. All right, go ahead.
Verse 12. The night is far spent, and the day is at hand.
Y'all wasting your time, and the day is at hand. The day is at hand, and y'all wasting your time.
Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light.
So come out of that sleep you've been asleep, that slumber party you've been at, when y'all got the lights all dim and you having fun and it's kind of dark in the room and you playing games. No, time to turn the light on, roll the sleeping bag up, and let's get to work. Let's get out of that party. You're drunk. Alright? The drunken sleeping party, the slumber party that you've been at, it's time to wake up. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Let us walk honestly, as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy.
So don't be envying the next man. Don't be wanting everything you've seen. America's taught you to want. You got money, I want this, I want that. You're drunk. Spiritually drunk is what it's talking about. You're spiritually drunk. It said, let us walk as in the day. So that means, hey, it's time to walk honestly as if it was Judgment Day. You got to act like Judgment Day is today. Start walking as if you're about to be judged by the Most High today. Don't wait until the end. Verse 14.
Verse 14. But put ye on Yeshua Christ, and make not provisions for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
So don't make no provisions to the flesh to make no lust thereof for the flesh. And that's what people try to do. They try to make the lust of the flesh. And provision means care or supply. So don't make no excuse for the flesh. Alright? Don't make no excuse to say, well, this is why I do this, to fulfill the lust of the flesh. Alright? You have to jump in the spirit and fulfill the lust of the spirit. Alright? You must lust after the Messiah. And then the Messiah will guide you to the Most High. That's what you lust after. Every day you wake up, you need to be looking for the Messiah, lusting for him. Wondering why he still ain't in your arm. You all night long, you went to sleep, thought he was in your arm. You wake up, he gone. You need to be lusting. Go find him again. Get close to him. Okay? So with that in mind, we're going to close it out. We went deep into a lot of information just on where Santa Claus, Christmas tree, the pagan ways, just different things, and we broke it down. And hopefully after this, a lot of people have just a little more understanding on how pagan the actual day is, and how pagan not only just the Christmas tradition is, but all these traditions. But Christmas is the biggest tradition when it comes to money wise, for the system, and this even you going broke. It's a real big deal. You see that though? Christmas for the government is a big money boost, but for you, it's a time for debt.
All the way to the next year.
All the way to the next year. You people really don't recover until about June or so, July. But then by September, by August, you already got to start Christmas shopping again, because you got 15, 30, 20 people you got to shop for. Nowadays, you got to shop for so many people, you got to get a gift for. It's like it's not even fun. Like, man, you on my list nowadays? How you get on my Christmas list? People writing their names on your list now. At least when I was a kid, you got whoever you wanted to get a gift for. Now people are telling you what they want and how they want it. I want an iPod 6, such and such. You know, it's all bad. So let's say shalom, all praises to the Most High, and everybody have a good night.